Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Family Law Talk.
Family Law Talk.
Presented by Kirk Stange of Stange Law Firm, PC. Stange Law Firm is a family law firm with offices in Missouri and Illinois. Now, here's your host, Kirk Stange.
Welcome to Family Law Talk. We have an interesting topic today. The topic is financial statements and divorce. This is an important topic relative to divorce because obviously the division of marital property and marital debt is a big issue for folks going through divorce. So it's definitely an interesting topic that we wanted to cover here today. We do have an article on this topic as well on familylawheadquarters.com. If you go to that webpage, check out our article dated October 16, 2015. And the title of that article is Fill Out Your Financial Statements Thoroughly. So as a follow-up to the episode today, you can definitely go to familylawheadquarters.com and check out the article. But again, let's get to the topic at hand. Obviously, when folks, file for divorce, oftentimes, there can be lots of issues that come into play. And on an elementary level, a lot of folks get caught up in the divorce itself. Maybe the shock, the fact that they are going through a divorce. For a lot of folks, it's unexpected. It's not something that they saw coming. And so a lot of individuals out of the gates are very concerned about the divorce itself. Some folks struggle with whether the divorce really needs to happen, whether reconciliation is a possibility. And again, this isn't the case for everybody, but it is for a lot of folks. A lot of folks, right out of the gates when a divorce begins, this is where they are. They're still wrestling with the shock of the divorce itself and getting used to the idea that a divorce might be something that's in their future at this point. For other folks with kids, one of their primary concerns might be, the kids. I mean, they might have an acceptance of the divorce. They might have seen it coming. It might have been something expected in a lot of different ways, but their primary concern might be the kids, and they're really worried about child custody in terms of how it's going to work if they have children and how all that's going to kind of work itself out. And that can be a big, big issue. And then obviously in a divorce case, you've got marital property and marital debt that has to be divided by the court. And for some folks, this issue can take front and center out of the gates. But quite honestly, a lot of folks right out of the beginning, they might be more caught up in the divorce itself. They might be more caught up in thinking about custody and then focusing on the finances, focusing on the money issues can be hard for some people. Again, not everybody. Some people are very money-focused out of the gates, and they're thinking about it, but some folks aren't thinking about it at all. And so, for those of you out there that are going through divorce, obviously, you want to consult with an attorney who does family and divorce law. You want to be certain that you're complying with the laws in your specific state and locality, because there can be different requirements in terms of how this works, in terms of the forms that have to be utilized, in terms of the way these forms are completed and filled out. So again, we're just talking about financial statements in a very general sense. Obviously, our firm has offices in Missouri and Illinois, so we are accustomed to how this works in Missouri and Illinois. But this can vary by state and jurisdiction. And there can be different requirements. So definitely consult with an attorney if you're going through divorce and make sure that you're going about this the right way. But just as sort of a general principle and just as a general rule, fill out the financial statements thoroughly. And that's really the premise of this episode, which is be thorough, be accurate. Make sure everything is listed and that it's truthful to your best information and belief. And this is a hard thing for a lot of folks. A lot of folks come in from different mindsets again. Again, some folks are spending more time thinking about other issues. Some folks, frankly, might not have been the one who was really in charge of the finances of the marriage. And so to list out all the marital property and debt could be an extremely arduous task for some folks, because some folks truly might not know all the details coming into it. And so, financial statements generally ask parties, when you get into property and debt division, to list real estate that might be owned, bank accounts, could be investment accounts and retirement accounts, all the way down, to credit cards and debts that might be there, to items within the home. I mean, you name it. These financial statements are very thorough, and it causes parties a lot of heartache and grief in a lot of respects, because they look at it in a way and think, oh my goodness, this is almost a scavenger hunt. In other words, I've got to go out and get all this different information. I've got to list what it is. I've got to list the approximate value. I've got to list things like, account numbers. Certain jurisdictions, you might just be listing last four digits or something like that, account numbers for privacy reasons, but folks still have to get that information. And so, again, a lot of parties are kind of stressed out by this. It causes them a great deal of grief. They'd rather be doing just about anything than completing this complex, property division form. And so that causes some parties to not take the time and energy to make sure that it's done correctly. And we're going to get into it in a minute, but that's obviously a big mistake. That can have adverse ramifications on a divorce case. At the same token, financial statements generally involve listing income that a party has, and then you've got to be taking out deductions, and the deductions obviously can vary for different people, but it's an approximation of income and then expenses. And so, again, for a lot of parties, this can be a difficult task, one that they view as sort of an egregious thing that they have to do, time-consuming, cumbersome, not the kind of thing they want to particularly be dealing with, especially right out of the gates when they're just trying to get used to the idea that, my goodness, I'm going to be going through a divorce case. And so a lot of parties, again, they want to sort of approximate this. They want to sort of not spend the time and energy on it. And so when it comes to their income, folks can do different things. Some folks just want to approximate this versus giving as firm of a number as possible. Some folks, have problems in terms of, commissions. How do you equate commissions on one of these financial statements forms? I mean, for some folks, these commissions can really fluctuate and vary, from month to month or year to year, and that can cause them, a whole lot of grief in terms of trying to figure out, how to put this income down. Some folks have one job, and that can make this a lot easier. One job with a W-2, maybe there's no commissions or bonuses, but other people, they might have, two or three jobs. It might be a situation where they get commissions, where they get bonuses, and they're trying to, put a number down, and they find that very difficult. But again, it's very important to be thorough, very important to be accurate, and critical to consult with your attorney to make sure you're completing the form appropriately. In some cases, it might be getting some kind of financial expert involved in terms of trying to help a party complete these forms, thoroughly and accurately. And then expenses. Expenses can be an egregious task for a lot of people to list out their monthly expenses, for example. I mean, you've got mortgage payments, you've got all the different utility bills that might go with a house. You might have automobiles that are being paid for on loans. You've got insurance for a lot of folks, that has to be listed. A lot of people have, credit cards these days. There could be daycare expenses, extracurricular expenses, could be private school. Then parties have to approximate, in terms of recreational expenses that they might occur on a monthly basis, from food to clothing to medicine. I mean, you name it, this can be a really cumbersome thing. And so, again, what a lot of folks want to do is not spend the time, not spend the energy on this in a thorough sense. They'd rather complete this form, get it into their attorney to get it filed in court, and they want to move on because it's just, frankly, for a lot of folks, is not an enjoyable experience. To a lot of people, it gives kind of the image of watching paint dry. They could be out and about living their life, trying to move on from having to go through a divorce, and now they're being asked to sit at a table or a desk and fill out these financial statements and try to accumulate all this information. A lot of folks just simply don't want to do it. But here's the deal to the listeners out there, and this is the premise of this episode, which is absolutely it's understandable that this isn't an enjoyable thing to do, and lots of folks don't want to do it, and that certainly makes sense. But the reality of the situation is these financial statements need to be filled out thoroughly because it can have significant ramifications in terms of a divorce case. In terms of the monthly income and expenses, this can directly relate to the child support amount that a party might end up receiving or paying. And so if the income is overstated or understated, this can have a significant impact for a lot of folks in terms of the result of the case. Same with the expenses. If the expenses are overstated or understated and they're not as accurate as possible, this can have significant ramifications as well in terms of the child support amount that a party might have to pay or that they might receive. And then at the same token, spousal maintenance comes into play. So overstating income, understating income, overstating expenses, or on the flip side, understating the expenses can have a significant ramification in terms of the spousal maintenance amount a party might receive or that they might be ordered to pay. And so, those financial statement forms in terms of the monthly income and expenses, just a critical document that a party has to complete in their case. And so it's really important to be thorough, accurate, to check statements, check tax records, payroll records, expense records, to ensure that the forms are completed as thorough and accurately as possible, given the circumstances of the case. And then when you get into property and debt division, a court in a divorce has to divide all marital property and marital debt. And again, the laws in each state vary. There's specific nuances in each state, so it's critical to consult an attorney in your specific state to ensure you're abreast of the law and the different considerations that are out there. But in a general sense, in Missouri and Illinois, marital property and marital debt is to be divided in a manner that is just when considering all the factors. And then Missouri and Illinois, specific in terms of the factors that the court looks at, lists some of them out. Obviously, they're very discretionary in a lot of respects, and judges can do different things. But at the end of the day, if a party omits to list a marital property or marital debt, that can be a significant problem. It's hard for a judge to make a just division of marital property and marital debt if they don't know what's all out there. You also get into issues of, theoretically, judgments can be void if not all marital property and debt is being listed. So you can go down that problem path as well. But in a different sense, the issue is if the court doesn't know about it, it's hard for a court to be just in terms of dividing property and debt if they don't have all the information that's available out there. In some respects, too, if a party doesn't list something that's out there, and that comes to the court's attention, courts can sometimes conclude that there's maybe something illicit going on, that maybe somebody is purposely not being transparent and disclosing to the court everything that's out there. And so in that regard as well, it's important to list items from a credibility standpoint to court to make sure everything is being listed out there. So, again, this is a tough situation for folks. I know, folks are when they're going through divorce, it's easy to be thinking about other issues like how they got there in the first place. And then if they have kids, you get caught up in thinking about, oh my goodness, what's going to happen with our kids in terms of custody. That totally makes sense. It also makes sense that, for a lot of folks who might not be financially oriented, if you will, it might be very difficult to sit down and get all the information and complete these forms. It can be a very difficult task for some people, and for some people, just an unenjoyable task, just really the last thing that they want to be doing. But at the end of the day, it's important to be thorough with these financial statements. It's important to take it seriously, and it's important to be as accurate as possible. But being accurate as possible, a party at the end of the day can feel good that at least the court had the information they needed in order to make a decision with regard to the case. And also, being transparent and providing all the information can help lead to settlement negotiations as well that are fruitful because all the cards are on the table and everybody has accurate information and knows what they're working with in terms of trying to reach a settlement to the case. So again, that's the topic today. The topic is fill out your financial statements thoroughly, or financial statements in divorce. And again, is a follow-up to the episode. Go to familylawheadquarters.com. Check out our article dated October 16th, 2015. Thanks for the listeners for tuning in. Stay tuned to our next episode on Family Law Talk. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for listening to Family Law Talk.
Family Law Talk
with Kirk Stange. Visit StangeLawFirm.com for more about today's topic or to put Stange Law Firm to work for your family today. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision that should not be based solely upon advertisements. Neither the Supreme Court of Missouri or Illinois reviews or approves certifying organizations or specialist designations. The information you obtain on this podcast is not, nor is it intended to be legal advice. You should contact an attorney for advice regarding your individual situation. We invite you to contact us and welcome your calls, letters, and electronic mail. Contacting us does not create an attorney-client relationship. Please do not send any confidential information to us until such time as an attorney-client relationship has been established. And finally, past results afford no guarantee of future results, and every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Kirk Stange is responsible for the content. Principal place of business, 1750 South Brentwood Boulevard, Suite 401, St. Louis, Missouri, 63144.
How's your money feeling? It's about to feel happier with a certificate from Happy Money's partner, Michigan State University Federal Credit Union. Elevate and increase your savings with 18-month terms and only a $500 minimum. And the happiest part? MSU FCU certificates yield 4.5% APY annual percentage yield. Now that's a happier side of money. Elevate your savings. Go to happymoney.com/MSUFCU. That's MSUFCU. Funds insured up to $250,000 by NCUA. The APY is accurate as of the 12/1/2023 dividend declaration date. Early withdrawal penalties do apply. Fees may reduce earnings on the account. Any monthly withdrawals or transfers reduce earnings.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.